sorted. Get off. Hey up, Woodlanders. Just get my laces done. It's really mild out here, and there's midges everywhere. Hang on a sec. Put some perfume on. Keep them filthy creatures off me. We are having such a slow start this morning. I was looking for a compact camera, so I've got a camera. It's called a G100. It's a Panasonic G100. It's a cracking micro four thirds camera with a 12 to 60 lens on it. Brilliant. I do lots of B-roll stuff on it because I just like photography. I'm not good at it at all, and I don't understand photography. Anyway, I was looking at swapping it. I wanted something that was super compact, really easily transportable. Just stick it in your pocket and off you go, with a bit of a zoom on it. Turns out there's a whole load of other cameras in that sort of category. There's one from Sony called a ZV-1, and well, anyway, I got just a little bit on the distracted side, to the point I've watched so many bits of videos this morning I've run my battery flat on my mobile phone. And then we're going to crack on. I filled up the saw. I think we're all ready to go. I'm going to grab my kit. It's a stunning day. We'll make the most of it. It's now February the 20th, I think, today, and we haven't had rain since January, so I don't think we've had rain for about 3.5 weeks now. Sometimes I complain a little bit about the weather. You might have noticed that. Not having rain for like 3.5 weeks is really unusual, and it's great. It's been great for extraction. It's been great for getting jobs done. I've not been rained off in any way. It's been brilliant for that, but because I've got some planting to do once I've got my branch logging done and my extraction done, I could just do with a drop of rain. So branch logging is not going to happen now till next week. That means we'll be into March before I get my hazels planted, and I've noticed this morning that the hazels, the buds are really swelling green. With this mild weather, I've even seen hawthorn out in leaf this morning as I passed. Just the leaf buds have just blown. I'm trying to get everything done before second week in March. Today is all about felling again, so it's just a continuation of last week. I'll show you where we're at. We'll baz some trees down. I'm hoping this afternoon I can pretty well get most of them down. Some of the carnage from last week. You'd think with all the felling I did last week that we'd have no trees left. Oh, what's that? Look at them all. It's madness. It feels like I've done felling after felling and we'll end up with no woodland left. But in all honesty, this area was planted up as we've got 5 acres and we've got 1,000 trees per acre, so there's 5,000 trees. And if I've dropped about 40 in the last week, we really haven't made much of an impact on the whole woodland. So don't worry, I have not felled the whole of the national forest yet. A couple of big pines here to knock over, and we've got the wind in our favour, I think, as well. Two tankfuls down, and I think this area's about done for this year. There's loads more I could do, but well, we spoke about this before. And then I've just done a couple up that way, which is towards the coppice area up that end. Karen and Ellie just popped up. I think they're having a bit of a play up the top end with the cameras. I've got a few up by the work zone next that I want down, really. Some next to the hazel, which I was hoping to coppice this winter, but the demand hasn't really come. So I don't think I'll be cutting that hazel, which would be a shame because I want to try and get that more in cycle. Unless we get some big orders between now and the end of March, I can't see that happening. It's red hot today. The sun's blazing. I reckon it's about 15-16 degrees today, which for third week in February does seem particularly mild. We get those, but there's loads of midges, filthy midges. I can give you a quick update on the knuckles. You know, the blackthorn knuckles from last week had a bit of a rant about spikes. Well, thankfully they've not got infected. The knuckles work perfectly again, and we're just left with a little bit of residue in the skin. We've got carnage round here now as well. Just took a few small ones out in this area near where the work zone is. There's a few more to take out. You might see these 3 pines here, but it's those hazel beyond in that area there. I was hoping to cut and coppice this time. I've had a couple of stalls out because I wanted some rods for an order. She only wants 15. So I'm just going to dress them. I've got dressed 20 bean pole, and then I've had enough. I'm going to go home. Morning. Just when you thought we were all done with felling, I got up this morning and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try and get them pine trees done. Sake of about an hour and a half, tank full of fuel. We'll get them pines done near the hazel coppice that I wanted to do yesterday, but never quite got a chance to finish them. Now, we've not even scratched the surface really here on the thinnings yet, but we've done a bit. The most important thing for me is to make sure I do the thinning on the edges of the coppice, because if I don't, that's when the coppice will suffer. And the thinning work happens a little bit ad hoc as we go. Some dirty midges about again today. Get off. That, I think, concludes my felling for this year. In any sort of quantity anyway. In my mind I think, oh, I need to get all of the woodland thinned in one fell swoop. That's sort of the forester in me, that is. Bosh it through, thin the whole lot, know that it's been struck off, we're done then for another 10 or 15 years. But of course that doesn't keep me in a regular supply of firewood, and my goal here is hazel coppice and chestnut coppice if I can get that established. So really all this thinning lark is only to benefit the coppice and to give me firewood. I don't really worry about making a nice high forest here, which is lots of tall trees that eventually get all clear felled. That's not my goal here at all. In fact, there's hardly anything of any timber trees here. There's some really rough trees. Next job is get the brush cutter out, make sure it works, and go and smash some bramble. The biggest challenge comes with this brush cutting is, where do I start? Maybe at the beginning. We've got so much bramble going on around at the minute. It's just, I don't know if you can see that look, but just all of that look around there. It's ridiculous. Now this is ash. I coppiced this when we first came. That was just at the cusp of ash dieback being all in the news and all that sort of thing, and I thought, well, I'm going to coppice it anyway, because ash has got quite a low density of the crown and we've got ash dieback. This area has just been awash with bramble, and I did a little bit of it last year, but I'm going to have to do it again this year. And the idea is, we'll never eradicate bramble, but for me it's a real bugbear to try and work with, and I understand that you've got the wildlife aspect to it and they've got the habitat, and so it's not about eradicating bramble. Don't want to advocate that. Some people love bramble more than I do. If left unchecked, honestly, the bramble gets to about 8 foot tall and then you can't even see. It's madness. It's never not started, but sometimes the cold start can be a right pig, and I've never quite worked out whether it's this on off button here is a bit dodgy, because sometimes there's just nothing and you'll do nothing differently, pull the cord, fires up. Getting on quite well really. Biggest problem I'm having is with my brush cutter blade. So the brush cutter blade has got an adapter inside it. They make them all with a 25.4mm circle in the middle, but the still ones have to operate on a 20mm thingy, whatever, bobby. You have these adapters, these alloy adapters. Of course the alloy adapter is thinner than the metal blade, so the slightest shock, and what happens is the little adapter sort of gets knocked up and then it won't centralise on the machine's sort of spigotty thing, and then of course the whole lot's vibrating and wobbling, so you have to, every 10 minutes you just knock something, that drops out, and then you have to take it all apart again. So that's doing me head in a minute. So I've been having real trouble with this stupid washer in this thing. I'm going to take it out. Can't seem to get a washer at all. So I'm going to take it out, take the blade out, and I'm going to do some modifications. So this week's woodlog has had to come to an abrupt end. The end of the week didn't quite go to plan, and I got pulled in all sorts of directions, but not necessarily in a woodland one. I want to wish you well, and if you're able to, try and enjoy some woodland again this week. Try and plant a tree while there's still time, and remember, only dead fish go with the flow. See you on the next one.